Are you living on a roller coaster, or does it feel like it sometimes? You realize, right? You don't have to get on the ride. You don't have to take it. The decision is ours. Hang on.
Welcome to the Educators Among Us podcast, where we share motivational messages and inspiring stories for and about educators. Your host, Scott Barron, is author of the critically acclaimed book, Love 'Em and Lead 'Em, and provides powerful insights and wisdom for those who heed the call to teach, coach, lead, and serve at all levels of education.
Hey, this is Scott Barron, and I'm honored to be your host for the Educators Among Us podcast, where we get to provide that encouragement, that word of inspiration, that story that hopefully gives you that extra energy for the week. It's a privilege to be a part of this journey with so many educators around the world, those that serve from preschool students, the young ones, all the way up through elementary and middle and high school into the college. Adult learning. Listen, wherever you are, if you're a part of a school, of a learning program, of a system that is trying to create a pathway forward for others, we are so very thankful for you. Professional educators rock. I mean, there's just such a calling to this work, and we want to be able to be there with you and for you, just to provide some words of encouragement, some conversation, and maybe even asking some of those bigger questions of life. It's a noble calling to be an educator, and we are so thankful for you and what you do. As we move forward, into this week, we know that the school year can sometimes be quite a ride. Right? If you think about it, sometimes we go to the county fair or to maybe to Six Flags or Disney World or the amusement park, some type of a place where there's some rides, right? And sometimes there's those roller coasters. There's those roller coasters. It's at one point in my life were quite tempting. Not so much now. There's a different sort of feel. The roller coasters, there's like Falcon's Flight and Kingda Ka and Top Thrill or Red Force, Superman. They have these, Tower of Terror, the Steel Dragon. I mean, they're designed, right? They're designed to take you on a ride. They're designed I think James Patterson, the author, said one time, ultimately, a great thriller is a roller coaster ride. I like to think that that's a promise I've never failed to keep, and one that I'd say has served my books well. He acknowledges that, as a writer, his job is to take the reader on a wild ride. And that's great in terms of the fiction writing. And sometimes it's great for some people to take that ride, and sometimes it's not. Right. And that's kind of our conversation for today, is to think about that. Right? Have you noticed that some people, they live on a never ending emotional roller coaster with constant motion and twisting and up, down and around. And it leaves them dazed and mostly exhausted with, and yet there's another ride coming soon. They just kind of never get off the ride. Sometimes it's like living with teenagers, right? I mean, there's sometimes a wild ride. And I heard some great advice recently that you may find insightful. And that is, it was advice that was shared at a board retreat that we were hosting. It was board leaders and school leaders. And it was a great chance to kind of think through things. But this one, the board chair made a statement in a kind of a side conversation with me. He said, when those people want to ride the roller coaster or other risky entertainment, hey, be there, cheer them on, even offer to hold their stuff, but you don't have to take the ride with them. You don't have to take the ride, even with those teenagers, even when they want to go and do things. Especially for me, it's on those little cups that twist, and you turn the thing in the middle and you're going round and round and round. It is like, it's a terrible feeling for me now. There was a time when that was some joy, but not anymore. you don't have to take the ride, right? And that's an important thing to think about as educators, right? Because there are different paths. And as Henry David Thoreau once said, pursue some path, however narrow and crooked, in which you can walk with love and reverence. It's hard to walk in love and reverence when you're on the roller coaster, right? I mean, that drama in some people's lives, it's enticing. there's a lot of energy around it, but it also, it consumes us. It consumes our time, our energy, and sometimes even our testimony. Because in those moments, we don't typically make wise decisions, and it has an impact on us, right? Interestingly, roller coasters are attached to a predictable path. They don't just float. They don't go different and unpredictable directions. It's actually designed on purpose to disturb the rider's equilibrium and the sense, their senses to produce the experience, right? That thrill. It's designed on purpose. And every day we make decisions that directly determine our path and our destination. Now, we may wonder how these wild swings occur. I mean, there's some people who just, how does this keep happening? Why? And it's like, but it's obvious to those around them that it didn't happen by accident. It was due to choices with predictable results, right? If we don't want to be there, if we don't want to be suffering from the consequences, if we don't want to be taking that ride, then get off, right? Get off the ride. If you don't want to be there, then start making decisions now to change directions. You can reach a point where you can't change your mind. You can't change the path. And so we have to be very intentional. If you want a pathway of peace, if you want a pathway of joy, it's there, but it's typically not on the roller coaster, right? God cannot give us happiness. God cannot give us a happiness and peace apart from himself because it's not there. There's no such thing, said C.S. Lewis. Life is a journey. Life is a journey of discovery with both those thrilling mountaintop moments and, of course, there'll be plenty of times that are down deep in the valleys, those valleys where despair and brokenness and loneliness, they relentlessly prevail. But the life of an educator, we have choices, right? Now, it can be full of ups and downs. The school year can feel like an emotional roller coaster ride where it's hard to imagine finding any joy and peace and serenity, but it's there. It's there. Peace can be found by staying grounded in our faith, right? Staying disciplined, practicing those disciplines that we know sustain perspective. We don't forget who we are. We don't forget why we're here. And we plug into those sources of grounding that keep us off the roller coaster, right? And we choose not to take that ride with other people. So the encouragement for you is stay grounded. Stay grounded and true to your calling this week, my friend, avoiding the wild rides that may appear tempting, but they don't go where you want to go. Hey, thank you for what you do. Thank you for being a part of this community. It's so exciting to hear the stories of people who, sometimes people use these messages for the Educators Among Us podcast as some personal encouragement just for themselves and their growth. They listen to it on their commute into school or wherever they're going, or they at night when they're just having some time to refresh, or in the morning when they're starting off their day. We're so thankful to be able to share some of these messages with you. And thank you as well for the feedback. It makes such a difference. And it gives us some guidance on how we create future messages and conversations. We've got some great stories coming up, some interviews with some extraordinarily impactful educators. Can't wait to share those with you. And so invite others, if you would, from your network, the folks that you know who are a part of a school, who teach, who coach, who work even those that work on the staff and in various roles. We're so thankful for educators and want to give them that little bit of perspective as they go through their day and hopefully provide some encouragement in the work. Hey, as you're going through this week, a question to consider. Did I do my best to stay grounded and true today? Did I do my best to stay grounded and true to my calling today? Thank you for what you do. Love him and lead him, my friend. This is Scott.
Thank you for joining us for the Educators Among Us podcast and for your courageous commitment to this noble calling. We get you and the challenges of this work. To stay connected with this community, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and weekly encouragement at educatorsamongus.com.